welcome to E13, the Data Geek. I'm Em, also known as E13, the Data Geek. I've decided to put this channel together to share some of my data knowledge with everyone out there. And this first series of videos is going to cover Microsoft Excel. So whether you've got some experience of using Excel before and you're just looking for support with a particular formula or a function, or if you're a complete beginner and you want to learn something completely new, then please stick with me on this journey. So in this series of videos, I want to cover everything from opening your very first blank Excel spreadsheet all the way through to building reports, showing you how you can use Excel to manage things like your household budget, building reports in a business scenario, all of those kind of things. So each video will take us on that journey all the way through to hopefully becoming fellow data geeks. Okay, so let's make a start.
Okay, so in this video, I want to start by just navigating Microsoft Excel. So a basic introduction into the look and feel of it, getting into some of the details in the toolbars, things like adding, copying new sheets or tabs within Excel. Then we're going to start to build a data table and look at some formatting, resizing cell options. And what I'll do is over the next few videos, we'll use the data table that we're going to start to build to expand as we get through into formulas and conditional formatting and lots of other things. So let's jump straight in. We just open up Excel. So when you first open Excel, you'll have a few options down here. So you can create a new workbook, open a recent file, any shared files you may have, or open something saved on the computer, or to a hard drive or something like that. So we're going to start with a blank workbook. As you can see here, Excel's got a number of different templates. You can click on more templates, have a look through some of those. If you just click on it, it will basically load it, and then you can start to edit it and use it for your own kind of purposes. So what we're going to do though is just start with a completely plain workbook. So let me get one of those open. Okay, so this is Microsoft Excel. As you can see, we've got our columns lettered across the top and our rows numbered down the side. So as I said, in this tutorial, I'm just going to talk you through some of the features within Excel, and we'll start to build up a bit of a data table after we've done some of that. So obviously here we've got across like every Microsoft program, we've got our toolbars. You can obviously edit those to show as much or as little as you want. You can have a play around with those. If you've used any of the Microsoft programs before, you probably like to have things set up with things that you use most frequently. So this is just the home toolbar. We go into insert, lots of different kind of options to play around with here, and I will cover these in future videos. So things like pivot tables, pictures, shapes, all of that kind of good stuff. We've got the draw toolbar. I don't really use this very much in Excel, if I'm honest, but if it's something that you're interested in knowing more about, then just drop me a comment below and I can pick that up in a future video. Page layout, again, quite good if you want to be able to print off any of the kind of the spreadsheets that you're building. We can have a look at some of those as well. Formulas, this is one where you'll probably spend quite a lot of time. So there's lots of good bits in here. So Excel can kind of help you to write formulas, which is good. They're grouped into lots of things. So recently used, financial, lots of kind of things. Date time, that's always a fun one to try and work through in Excel, depending on what you're trying to achieve. So yeah, kind of all the sort of formula type options are in here. Data, so you can import data from another file if you've got a CSV or a text file or something like that. You can start to kind of play around with some of these, so things like sorting options, filtering, all of that kind of stuff. And then some of these kind of bits, text to columns and removing duplicates and stuff, I'll start to again kind of cover off in future videos. Review is, you know, things like your spell check, all of that kind of stuff. If you want to add comments or notes, protecting your workbook or your sheets, also a good one. Again, if you're going to be sharing a file and you don't want people to kind of be changing structures or kind of adding or removing things from it, so that's always helpful. And then view is, we're going to just stick with the normal view for now. We will look at kind of, you know, freezing panes and sort of rows in columns in our tables and things like that. But again, I'll kind of cover that off in later videos. I just wanted to start off with kind of a quick summary of Excel really, and where everything is. So next bit I was going to cover off. So obviously you can see down here we've got sheet 1. So any new blank workbook that you open will just have sheet 1 in it. You can double click in there, or you can also just come back out. You can right click and rename. So we can call that data table. Not very exciting, but we know what it's going to be. So also within Excel, you've got this plus here. That's going to give you a new worksheet. So if you click on the plus, you'll just get another brand new sheet that opens. Again, if you right click, you can go to insert sheet from the menu as well. You can also delete them. Obviously rename we just covered. Move or copy, I'll cover off now. Actually, let's do that now. So if I want to create a copy of this sheet, I just do create a copy, and then you need to select where you want that to be. So if you want it to be before our first data table sheet, we'd leave it where it is. So that will drop a new tab in here at the beginning. And if, obviously, you can play around with these things, you know, we can move it right to the end and we'll create a copy again and add. The other thing you can do is kind of move things around. So if I want this data table sheet to be at the front now, I'll just click on that, wait till the arrow appears, and then just drag it across to wherever I want it. So I'm going to pop that back in the beginning there. There's also lots of kind of other bits that you can play around with in here. So you can start to look at color coding your tab names. If you've got a number of data sheets going on, and you want to kind of be able to group them up or easily identify them, you can start to color code them. And again, you know, there's the standard kind of colors that you'd expect, but you can also go through the color palette and pick whatever you would like. Purple being one of my favorite colors, that's where I ended up. So the other thing as well, which is quite handy sometimes, is if you're sharing the Excel workbook and you don't necessarily want anybody to be able to make changes, or there's some of the sheets in here that they don't really need to be able to see. There's a few options that we can use. So you can protect a sheet, and that will give you the option of protecting just the sheet, which means that no changes can be made. There's kind of further options around protecting an Excel file, which we'll cover off in more detail in a future video. And the other one I wanted to show you as well is to hide. So if I'm going to send this to somebody and actually the stuff that's in sheet 2 is not really relevant to them, they don't need to see it. So I'm just going to click hide and it will disappear. However, it's still in the background. So if I select unhide, it will give me the option to select that back and it will appear again. So it doesn't go anywhere. It just means that it's not visible. So don't worry, unless you hit delete, you don't need to panic. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to start with in this first tutorial is starting to build up a data table. And as I said, we're going to use that to start to go through some of the formulas, some of the other formatting, functionality, all of that kind of stuff. We can then look at using it to build pivot tables and all of that kind of stuff that's available to you within Excel. So what I'm going to do is make a start. So I am going to create a list of things like, for example, if I wanted to create a budget, so my kind of household budget. So I'm just going to start by listing some of the outgoings I have: mortgage or rent, gas, electricity bills, that kind of stuff that we all know and love. And what else have we got? Things like insurance. So obviously we've all probably got a number of different household bills that we can list off. I'm just going to leave it at the 3 for the moment. We'll add some more. I'm sure that you're all kind of working through in your heads the amount of outgoings you have on a monthly basis. So then I'm going to add things like petrol, if you own a car, food. If, like me, you've got a pet, so I have a dog, so pet food, insurance, all of those kind of things. So we can start to sort of build up here, and what I'm going to do is just give this a header. So as you can see, I started in the second column, the second row down. I'm going to name this one here, so this is going to be my bill. And what you can then start to do is think, if you're putting together a budget, what is it that I want to see? So I've got direct debits that come out for a lot of this each month, or I go to the petrol station, the supermarket, whatever it is. So I can start to put in some numbers, and I'm just going to make up some random numbers for now. So £500, let's be honest, that's very cheap for mortgage or rent. I wish that was the case. Let's see, £50. As you can see, I'm picking nice easy numbers here. So if you just type in the amounts, I have no idea how much I spend on food each month, but I'm sure it's probably more than I should be, really. And my dog, with her various ailments, as she's quite old now, is quite expensive with her special diet. So I am just going to give that a header as well. So that's my monthly cost. So next, what I want to do is make my headers look slightly different, so I can identify that this is my header row and everything else is part of my data table. So what I'm going to do is select these cells here, click on the color palette, and we'll go for a green, I think. And the other thing we can then start to do is to maybe make these bold, so they stand out a bit more. Okay, so actually now I have decided that I want to be able to group these up. So obviously, within here, I've got things related to my home, pet costs, kind of just monthly living costs, things like that. So what I'm going to do here is select all of column A. So to do that, you actually select within the letter at the top. If you select here, you are obviously only going to select the cells that you want. So I'm just going to select the row and right click. And what I want to do is insert a new column here, so I can start to give them a grouping or a category. So if I click insert, it's going to basically insert a new column to the left of the column that I've selected. So what I now want to do is to call this category for now. So this is going to be home, travel, living, and pets. Okay, so now I've started to kind of be able to categorize some of these, and we're going to use that sort of further down the line to be able to start grouping some of this this expenditure each month, and working out what we kind of what your monthly kind of spend is, where the majority of that goes, although probably most of you already know. So now I've created this new column, I need to make sure that my new header column matches the rest. So obviously I can go through the same process by selecting a fill color, making it bold. But what I'm going to do here is to select one of the cells that's already in the format that I want, and select this this little paintbrush here, which is going to give me the format painter. So as you can see, it's now selected this cell. I've got the dotted sort of line moving around it. And what I'm going to do is just select into the cell where I want to copy that formatting to. So if I select there, then we now have all of our header columns matching. So again, if you decide that you wanted to add a new column in here, all you need to do is to right click and select insert. Equally, if you decide there's something that you don't want anymore, you can delete. If you've decided that my my monthly costs that I've put in with my nice clean round numbers are complete rubbish and you want to just get rid of all of it, you can click clear contents and that will just remove everything out of that column that you've already got. And again, we've got the hide and unhide options here and things like that. So again, we'll kind of go through some of those things in future videos. So one of the things which I think I did automatically and didn't actually mention is when I started to type in here, I don't think my column was actually wide enough for the text that I've got in there. So what you can do to resize is to go back up to your column names, and once you've got the kind of crossed arrows here, if you click, you can move this up and down yourself to make it whatever width you want. Or the other option is if you go up here and just double click, it will then automatically resize that column for the contents. So quite a helpful kind of thing. And if you've got multiple that sort of rows and columns that need to be resized, you can click here to select the whole spreadsheet. And again, if you just double click into one of them, it will resize for everything. And again, with your rows, the same thing. So then I think the next kind of thing I wanted to go through, obviously we've inserted new columns. If we decide actually we've missed some of our rows that we wanted to put in. So there are a few options to do that. You can select all of the columns, all of the rows, sorry, below the ones that you want, where you want to insert the new row. You can select cut, you can use the keyboard shortcut, you can right click and select cut, however you would like to do that. Drop down into the cell where you want to begin pasting, and again you can paste, you can use your keyboard shortcuts, you can right click and paste. It's completely up to you. So that's our first option. The same with adding a new column. We can also select the row, and again it's where you will select the row. When you right click and hit insert, it will always insert the row above that row. And now you can start to add in the bits that you've forgotten. So just as with a lot of Microsoft programs, there are a number of different ways to get to the result that you want, whether it's your keyboard shortcuts, using the toolbars, you know, right clicking and getting the kind of options in the pop-up menu. And again, I think as you start to use Excel, you'll develop your own kind of way of navigating it and your own sort of preference. Whether I know some people that will only use keyboard shortcuts, I'm probably a bit of a mixture of both. So this gives us our data table. as I said, we're going to use this for future tutorials and start to build up. So the next video will cover things like formulas. So we'll look at adding, subtracting, all of the sort of basic formulas that are available to you to do some of the calculations that we might want to see in a budget. And then we'll start to kind of really build it up and take it from there throughout the future videos. So thank you for joining me today. I hope our very brief introduction to Excel was helpful. And come back and join me for the next video, and we can start to cover some more of the interesting and exciting things that Excel can do for us. Obviously, being the data geek, I find them all very interesting. So thanks a lot, guys. Don't forget, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're interested in kind of coming along this journey with me and learning Excel from scratch. And I hope to see you on the next one.
So that brings us to the end of today's video. I just want to say a huge thank you for joining me. And if there's any specific formulas or functions that you want me to cover, please just add them to the comments below. I'll try and pick those up and add those to a future video. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click on the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.